It's the rain. It's raining. I'm in the doorway. It's raining. It's raining. Shalom out there. I want to make this video about the resurrection of the Messiah. Because everybody be like, oh, he died 3 days after he rose 3 days after he died. And then they'll say he rose on the first day of the week, when that's wrong. And then they'll say he died right before the Sabbath. So then they'll be like, he couldn't have rose on the Sabbath, when if he died on the Sabbath 3 days later, how is it the first day of the week? So they're gonna try to get you on that. But the resurrection of the Messiah, when was he risen? Now people should understand that a day begins when the sun goes down. So it begins that evening. So this Passover began in the evening when he was with his disciples and they dipped bread. That was Passover day. That was the day of the Passover. When Judas dipped bread and then went to go snitch on Christ. Because of Satan. Satan went in there and snitched on the Messiah on Passover. And they came and arrested him on Passover. And they crucified him. This was happening at night now. And then in daytime is when he got crucified. In the daytime he got crucified. And then this was speedy judgment. They didn't wait a day or two, So he got crucified on Passover in the daytime, when it began in the night. So in the daytime, while it was beginning to get night again, this is when he died, before the next day, which is the next night, came in. So he was dead for like an hour before the next day. So 3 days after the 14th is the 17th. So Christ rose on the 17th of the first month. This is you can't fight or argue that. You're going to be a liar. He rose on the 17th day of the first month. Now, the 17th day of the first month, that's not the first day of unleavened bread, so it's not a high day. It's not a high day. It's a regular feast day. It's not a high feast day. It's a regular feast day. He died on Passover. The next day was the first day of unleavened bread, which was supposed to be a high day. Passover, then a high day of unleavened bread, then a regular day of unleavened bread. So now the 17th is when he rose. The 17th, an hour before the first day of the week came in. So it says in the Hebrew New Testament that he rose on the Sabbath. I'm going to use Mark 16:9, because Mark 16:9 in the KJV, or the King James Version Bible, say he rose on the first day of the week. But in the Hebrew New Testament, with this King that James came from, it says he rose on the 7th day of the week. So now you can tell you got to rightly divide the word of truth. And it's either the Hebrew New Testament is lying, or the King James Version is lying. I'm going to go with the Hebrew New Testament, because they got Jesus in the KJV. So the Hebrew New Testament say Christ rose on the 7th day of the week, which is the Sabbath. So the 17th day of the first month is a Sabbath. Now this is the understanding of the resurrection of Christ. He rose on the Sabbath, so we can understand that the Sabbath is on the 17th day of the first month. So now that tells you that it's not on the first day of the 7th day of the week. Beginning with the first day of the month. It's not on the 7th day of the month, of the first month. It's not. When people would try to tell you that and prove it, and they couldn't prove it, especially when I bring this script out. Because then they would say, Sabbath, like GLCC. I'm gonna just throw their name out here because they wrong on this subject. They'll say, oh, Christ, Passover is a Sabbath. They'll say Passover is the 7th day Sabbath, because it's the 14th day of the week. When that's wrong. That is completely incorrect, because Christ died on the Passover, and it wasn't a Sabbath, and it wasn't. So they're lying on that. Obviously, if you just read, they're lying on that. But I just wanted to bring that out. You know, Christ died on the 17th day of the first month, and it was a 7th-day Sabbath, not a high day Sabbath of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, because it was only 2 high days on the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the first and the last. The Passover was a Passover. It wasn't considered a Sabbath. You feel what I'm saying? And Christ, the Hebrews say Christ rose on the Sabbath. So I'm going to leave y'all with that. Shalom, Akayam, Akawatayam. The rain.